you born?
I was born in March the 17th in 1914.
Where was that? Because you couldn't have been here.
Trowbridge.
In Trowbridge.
In Bond Street.
Oh yes, I know, yes. And when did you go out to work first?
When I was 14 years old, when I left school.
And yes.
And I was the job I done there was a middle spinner, a middle piecer.
What was that? What did that involve?
That was helping the two piecers that was working on the machinery. It was on the mule path.
Yes, the mules were back to back, weren't
That's
they?
right.
And they came in, yes.
Yeah, and that was helping the two of them.
Mm.
And then I left there because I wasn't very keen on the job.
No.
And apart from the fact that I caught my leg in the machine.
How did that happen?
I was hanging my coat upon the peg with my leg over the bar, and the girl started the machine up. So I had to wait until the machine span out and then backed off before I could get my leg up.
You must have been laid up for some time.
Yeah, about 6 weeks.
Did they give you any compensation for that?
None whatsoever.
Things were very difficult in those days, weren't they?
Yes.
Yes.
That was because I think the idea at the time was that you had to be off the premises immediately an accident happened.
Oh.
Otherwise, if you were there over that limit, you couldn't claim anything.
Peculiar idea.
And the reason why I was there that longer was because I almost passed out,
I should think so.
but the girls took me down and had that dressed on my leg and then sent me home.
Yes.
I had a nurse to come in each day and dress it for me.
That was very bad. That was careless of the spinner. She should have
Yes.
looked to see that everything was clear
That's right.
before she put the machine on.
Mhm.
So what happened then?
Well, I left there and I went down to McCall's
Yes.
working, and I went weaving down there, and I was weaving there until I got married and had my children.
When
Then I
was,
stayed home.
when was that? When,
Oh dear.
that
Was in 1921 I got married.
So you were at McCall's through the war,
Yes,
weaving.
yes. Well, more or less, yes. They were doing part-time, and they were also doing evening work and engaging men to come in and do the evening work
Yes.
after we went home.
Yes, yes.
So that, yes, it was during the war.
I wonder they could get men for that sort of thing.
No, that was those, I suppose it was not past their
Yes.
medical
Yes.
to go into the army.
How long did it take you to learn weaving, do you think?
Not too long, I don't think. I can't recall it took me too long.
And then you had your children and
I stayed at home then
Stayed
for
at
a while.
home, yes. How many children did you have?
4 children,
4 children.
2 boys and 2 girls.
Oh, very nice. And then when did you go back to... When I first met you, you were working in Clark's, weren't you?
That's right. Yeah.
What did you do in Clark's?
I first of all went down Clark's quill winding for the weavers.
Yes.
Then I came into the other department, cone winding,
Yes.
and then I left again, for I had some argument with them down there and couldn't see eye to eye on something, and I left there again temporary, and I went to work then in the hospital.
Oh. What was that? Sort of cleaning and things
On the wards.
like on wards,
Yeah.
yes.
The female
Ward
ward.
maid, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then I left there again because they got me a job back down at Clark's, and then I was feeding.
Yes. It's on the carding machine.
That's right.
Yes. Yes.
On the feeding machine, and then I was there until Clark's closed down.
And that was in what, 1970, wasn't it? Yes. Were you working on the ones with 4 spools or on those very high ones?
The very high ones with the 6 spools.
Yes. How did you get up? I always wondered how you got up to the top of those.
I had steps to get up.
It seems to me it was very dangerous standing on steps lifting off those spools.
Yes, it was dangerous.
Because they were quite heavy, weren't they?
Yes. It was dangerous. It was a stool, trolley, a fair with steps.
Yes.
And a platform at the top, and I had to stand on that platform.
And there was nothing to prevent you stepping off backwards or anything like that, was
Just
there?
a bar across. That was
There
all.
was a bar. Because there was you and Gladys Hewitt. She was on the same...
Yeah, but she had the smaller sets.
Oh, did she? Yes. Because she was very small, wasn't she?
Yeah. She had the other 2 sets in the corner.
It was very heavy work when you come
It was
with
heavy.
it, yes.
Because we had 2 sets of engines to keep
Yes,
going.
yes. You had the mechanical hoppers, of course, at
That's
the end,
right.
didn't you? Yes.
Fill the mechanical hoppers out.
Yes.
And as it came through to spools on the end, when the spools were full, we had to take them off and put the empty one on, and then back down the steps again.
Yes, with the spool.
With the spool in your arm.
Yes. So that was 6 times up and down. Well,
Yeah.
no, the last 3, I suppose. 4
I could reach, yes.
You could reach, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The top 2 I had to have that for.
How many do you think you got off in a day? It rather
Oh dear.
depended, didn't it?
Yes. It depended largely on the size.
Yes.
Because I had one set of engines with a smaller sets of spools, but the bigger engine only had 4 spools on, but they were twice as wide.
I was going to say, how many ends, do you remember how many ends you had? The ones I worked on, they had 25 ends.
No, I can't remember.
No.
I can't remember offhand how many ends there were.
And then you stacked them up and the pieces came from
Came and
upstairs
fetched them, that's right.
and put them in the lift, didn't
That's
they?
right, yeah.
And they weren't supposed to put themselves in the lift.
Oh,
But
that's
they did.
right. Yes.
Did you have any clubs or anything like that? No, did you have any thrift clubs or anything at the factory?
There was a thrift going. I think the foreman of that particular shop
Yes.
took the thrift if you wanted it.
And then you had it out at Christmas,
At Christmas
or holiday
yes,
time.
holiday
Yes.
time, whatever.
Yes. Did we have a union at Clark's?
Yes.
You belonged to it, did you?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, I seem to remember that there was sort of some fuss towards the end when they were trying to whip up
That's right.
more members for the union.
Yes, I think there was.
What sort of hours did you work? When you began at Kemp and Hewitt's as a girl?
Now when I started at Kemp and Hewitt's as a girl, that was from one end of the town right through to the other end of the town.
Yes.
I had to walk.
Yes.
We start at 8 o'clock in the morning until 12:30.
Yes.
We had an hour for dinner. So from 1:30 we worked to 6:45. And Saturday mornings it was from 8 o'clock to 12.
Yes. So you didn't go home with your dinner hour?
Yes,
You
I
did.
did.
You walked
I used to walk all the way home.
from Silver Street to Bond Street
That's right. A mile.
after
More or
walking
less.
up and down, well, yes, a mile, and then walking up and down the mule path all day.
Yeah.
It's good training for you.
And I walked all the way home and all the way back to work again and walked all the way home again at night.
Yes. You can't see the modern people doing it, can
I'm
you?
afraid not. They don't know they're born.
What sort of holidays did you have?
We only had a week's holiday. The general holiday
Yes.
was only for a week.
Yes.
And Easter we had Good Friday and Easter Monday. There was no spring holiday, but
No.
we had one day for what they called Whit
Yes.
Monday,
Yes.
and a week's holiday
Yes.
for the general holiday. And they had, for Christmas, we had Christmas Day and Boxing Day.
Yes.
But should that come in the week, in midweek,
Yes.
Saturday or Sunday, that gave us that little bit extra
Yes.
holiday. Otherwise,
Yes.
we
Yes.
only had the 2 days.
So altogether, you've got about 10 days holiday in the year.
That's right.
That's right, yes. Do you remember what you were paid when you started and what you finished with?
When I started at Peason, Middle Peason, I was getting 7 shillings and 6pence old money. And when I went to work in McCall's, I was getting 15 shillings old money for every cloth I got off.
Yes.
Only when I got not a weekly wage, but only when you got the cloth off. You've
Yes.
done your 70 yards of cloth, then you cut it off, and then you get paid after it had been passed. You got paid 15 shillings.
So, if you got 2 cloths off, you got quite a good wage.
You had 30 shillings.
But it depended on how
But
it was
you
going,
couldn't-
didn't it?
Yes. You couldn't get, well, you perhaps get 2 cloths off, 3 cloths off in a fortnight,
Yes, yes.
in 2
Yes,
weeks.
yes. Wasn't very much, was it?
No.
And then if anything went wrong, you had to wait for the loom tuner, and you might have to wait some time if he was busy somewhere else.
That's right.
Did you get any
That-
money
no,
for
you didn't get
playing?
anything for that. You lose that money.
Because later on you got, well, on the piecing, you got the money for playing, didn't
Yes.
you? Yes.
But not weaving.
No, that was just on the length of cloth.
Yeah.
What did you get when you were feeding? What did you finish with? Can you remember?
Not a lot then.
No.
No. I think it worked out to about £7 something shillings. I can't remember exactly. It varied. The odd
Yes.
pences
Yes.
varied.
Yes.
The odd shillings,
Mm.
they varied. But,
Yes, yes, because of course it was a
£7
flat
something.
rate for
Yeah.
feeding, wasn't it? It was only the piecers who, in Kempin Hewitts, they were all on flat rate
Yeah.
there. But at Clark's, the piecers were on piecework.
Mm.
The bonus after you got so much off. Did you enjoy being in the factory?
Loved it.
Did you?
Loved every minute of it.
Yes. What was it? The sort of.
And when I retired, I could have broke my heart. I really could.
When did you retire? When?
When my husband retired.
Yes. So
That was about 17 years ago now.
Yes, I see. You did.
17 years this year.
Clark's closed down. Did you go to Salters at all?
Yes.
Hmm.
I went up to Salters working. I told them I was down Clark's for 10 years.
Yes.
And they asked me if I would go up to Salters and do spinning again. But I didn't want to do that.
No. No.
So they said, would I go up there and do feeding?
Mm-hmm.
I said, providing I could have a set of engines on the ground floor, I did not want to go up and down stairs.
No. No.
I want to stay on the ground floor. But it didn't have to be feeding. I'd do any other job if they gave me a
Yes.
job on the ground floor.
Yes. Yes.
But they said they couldn't do that. So I stayed away then for about 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard they had a job down at Salters on the doubling machine.
Mm-hmm.
So I went down and worked on the doubling machine. So I'd done some doubling and some coning.
You were surely longer than that at Clark's because you were there weren't you there when I went in 1954, I think I went to Clark's. I know I was there 16 years and I finished in 1970.
I don't know. Well, might have been. I thought it was 10 years I was down there.
There was there was the man out on the engines.
Yes, there was all beekeeping on the ones.
No, not all. Yes, all beekeeping. Then he was helping with the mules when I was there,
Mm-hmm.
and he used to run the engines in the evening.
And there's another old gentleman there.
Yes.
I forget his name.
Oh, I forget his name. A nice, very quiet.
Yeah.
And then he came out onto our engines
Mm-hmm.
afterwards
Right.
because we had Mrs. Britton,
Yeah.
and I grumbled about the way she did her feeding.
Oh.
She was put out into your department.
Mrs.
Poppy Britton.
Yeah, Chloe. If you said Chloe, I would have known who that was.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, she came out on the other set of engines.
Yes.
For a while.
Yes.
But I think she was doing a bit of part-time work with Mrs. Hewitt. Mrs. Hewitt did do some, and
yes.
And
yes.
Chloe,
Yes.
and the other.
Yes.
And then
there was
Mrs.
you.
Andrews came down.
Yes, Mrs. Andrews was there. No, she was Mrs. Arkle, wasn't she?
No, this
No,
is
Mrs. Andrews.
that was Cyril Andrews. Cyril Andrews' wife.
Oh, yes, I remember her coming. Yes, yes, that's right. No, Mrs. Arkle was out in the other shop,
yes,
wasn't
right,
she?
Yeah.
Yes. I haven't got my list. Let's stop it a minute.